This is Head On here on Shaw TV. Thanks so much for joining me as we look into the issues that really matter here around Mid-Vancouver Island. Last summer, a community health survey was conducted in the Nanaimo Mid-Vancouver Island region called Vital Signs through the Nanaimo Foundation. A community health card of sorts, a report card to find out some strengths and also some weaknesses around the Nanaimo Mid-Vancouver Island region, things like the economy, healthcare, overall quality of life. And that report came out last fall. And it's an opportunity to help strengthen the quality of life around the Mid-Vancouver Island region. Very interesting stuff. Stick around for the next half hour to learn a lot more about this. Tim Mawdsley, he's the chair of Vital Signs. Tim, thanks for coming on the program. And also Mr. Ted Carson is here, the chair of the Nanaimo Foundation. This is a key document for your organization, help strengthen Nanaimo.
Thank you very much for having me here. I look forward to this.
Excellent stuff. Ted, I'll start with you, Tim. This Vital Signs, Nanaimo, what is this report essentially, and what is it hopefully designed to do?
Sure. So this was the first year that the Nanaimo Foundation produced the report. What it is a community report card on different issue areas in the community where we can identify strengths and weaknesses like you mentioned. Vital Signs touches on different areas like the economy, health, safety, transportation, and things like that. And within each issue area, we provide indicators or data sources where it's existing data that we've gathered and brought together that's in an easily readable format.
Right, the format, very easy to read. And if you check it out through the Nanaimo Foundation website, you can gloss over and easily navigate your way through those various things that people had to say. And this is these are opinion generated, right, Tim? About 900 plus people offer their opinions on this?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different areas to the report. One is a survey that is released to the general public or the citizens of Nanaimo. So anyone can participate in the online survey. And what's happening there is the participants are essentially grading how they feel about the area itself, or the 10 different areas. We then compile that data, which creates the grading part of each issue area. The secondary part is a gathering of existing data. So we aren't doing the research ourselves. Right. We're pulling the data together that exists through Census, Statistics Canada, and then we also dig into local data as well. So data obviously applicable to the Nanaimo region.
That must have taken quite a bit of work, because there's so many partners listed there on the study to get all this information and make it sort of work for the Vital Signs study.
It was an amazing partnership. So obviously the foundation is the head of that, but we had United Way of Central and Northern Vancouver Island, Signe Madden, amazing partner there, the City of Nanaimo, and Island Savings as a sponsor and as my employer, giving me the time to participate. And it was just a fantastic partnership to get the report produced.
Now, Ted, from a Nanaimo Foundation's perspective, this is going to be a pretty important document, isn't it? Especially moving forward when more data comes years ahead, and how we can help more vulnerable people in Nanaimo and also identify what we're doing pretty well.
Exactly. When I went back to Winnipeg and we came back into the Canadian Foundation, we've only been in it for about 2 years as a foundation, even though we were established in 1982. I thought, what was the most meaningful thing that I could learn in Winnipeg to make a difference in the community of Nanaimo? And I looked at Vital Signs as just being that vehicle that could make a difference in Nanaimo. Let the people of Nanaimo have an opportunity to voice their opinions and where we're going right and where we're going wrong. And I think it's a very significant document and one we can live with going forward.
That tells a lot, doesn't it, what people are experiencing in their own lives here in Nanaimo. And 900 plus, that's a pretty good sample size to look at this document and not just not have it mean anything. This is something that can mean something to Nanaimo.
Absolutely. Like when you look at the document itself, there's indications of some things that we're doing very well in Nanaimo, such as parks and recreation. We're doing extremely well compared to, say, Comox Courtenay. We have a lot of parks. We may even have more parks per square than what we actually need as a community in this day and age, with people and younger kids being involved in the internet and this, that, and the other thing. But the indications there that we're doing very, very well in that area.
Now, Tim, looking at the vital signs study and how things were put together, just a little bit of background. Or this was online, right, for a couple-month window, and people just had the opportunity to click online essentially and put their opinions
absolutely.
that way.
So the survey itself is online, so it took less than 10 minutes to fill out. You had the ability to obviously grade how you felt about the issue, and then add your own verbatim if you wish. You wanted to put comments in. And we actually integrated some of those comments in the report. So there's a section that we pulled off samples of what people said. So quick, easy, straight to the point, and then we can integrate that into the report and show the participation of Nanaimo. And we had, like you said, we had a great response rate. We had over 900 for the first year that we did it, which was fantastic. We were very, very pleased with that. And we're happy to say that the survey will be back out again this year, probably starting in July. So.
And vital signs, this is done in communities across Canada. So this is something that Nanaimo has looked and said, this is an opportunity for us to get on some of the data that other communities are benefiting from as well?
Absolutely. So we're, again, back to the partnership that came together to produce this. We're one of 27 across Canada that did this in this past year out of 191 foundations. So that's a major accomplishment, and it speaks to the strength of the foundation and the strength of the partners that came together to get it done.
And I suppose this will really show its worth years down the down the road now, and also down the road when more information comes up.
It's showing its worth right now. In the past, the Nanaimo Foundation has probably given out about $50,000 a year to various charities or nonprofits. In this last year alone, I guess people have been coming forward because of vital signs and the recognition that we have from it. We gave $100,000 to the Nanaimo Hospice. We gave another $100,000 to the Travelers Lodge for people with 24/7 dementia problems, and also a donation to our Vital Signs program of over $120,000, all in this 1 year. Tremendous year of growth, and a lot of it goes right back to vital signs where we can give more back to our community of Nanaimo that we all love and appreciate so much.
All right, guys, Ted, Tim, we'll take a quick commercial break and return with some key findings from the Vital Signs report. Ted touched on it. There's some things that we're doing well, some things that we're struggling on. We'll get into that a little bit more as we continue our discussion on the Vital Signs report, the community health report card for the Nanaimo region. More on Head On Shaw right after this. Back on Head On here on Shaw TV. I'm Ian Holmes, joined by Ted Carson, chair of the Nanaimo Foundation, Tim Mawdsley. He is the chair of Vital Signs. And Vital Signs, the topic of conversation here today as we look into the health report card, essentially, of the Nanaimo and surrounding area, a report that was done last fall, the results are coming out. And we'll get into some of the key findings, some interesting things here. Tim, we'll start with you.
Sure.
Maybe not a huge surprise on some concerns about the economy and also a gap between the rich and the poor, those ranking in the C- category by the 900 plus people who commented. When you look at that, facilitating this information, your thoughts when you saw that, Tim, as someone who's lived here for a while?
Yeah, well, again, this is the report to spur on that conversation, and it's been interesting to hear the activities that have come after this report was produced. So I've heard people using it for grant applications, both provincial and federal. I've heard of a thesis defense being used in a thesis defense, and I think it speaks to where this report can be used by the different specialty groups in Nanaimo, the organizations that work so hard in these areas, to use this data that's been gathered and work on the things that need attention in the area. So.
Ted, I suppose knowledge is power. This is another form of knowledge, getting these opinions from people in Nanaimo, voicing these concerns, especially with the economy, gap between the rich and the poor. What do you think having this information needs, and what's the value there?
I think the value to that is very important. You know, we've got a federal election coming up very shortly, and I think all the politicians that are going to be running, they're going to be addressing those kind of concerns, the gap between the rich and the poor and the economy, and what they're going to do for this central Vancouver Island region to correct a lot of that. I'm sure those will be some of the issues that will be coming up in this next federal election. I know that for a fact.
The people who live here on the positive side, on the environment, safety and security, these ranking arts and culture also a B- grade. That's a pretty substantial grade, B- from these 900 plus people who put their opinions out there. The value there on a positive perspective, I'll start with you on that one, Ted, on people who, hey, these are things we value about Nanaimo, parks, recreation, that kind of thing, coming, and the climate environment as well.
It's all there, you know, and a lot of people talk maybe about the Port Theatre. Well, the Port Theatre's been a very valuable asset to us, and it is to the community too. You know, we're a multifaceted community. We have to bear that in mind. It's not just hockey rinks, it's culture things as well. And in those areas, we're getting a pretty good score. And can it be better? Sure, yeah. but we're getting a pretty good score.
And I'm sure this is another example where some organizations can come in and say, you know, this is something where we can maybe bolster parks, rec, culture type activities in Nanaimo with information from Vital Signs.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Ted, a question for you on just turning back a little bit more to on the economy side and some of the struggles that Nanaimo has seen in that regard. There's been a lot of work in Nanaimo from the Nanaimo Economic Development Corporation to try to boost high quality jobs in Nanaimo. How does a document like this try to parlay that into strengthening that in the Nanaimo area? Do you see there's a value from that perspective? I
think so, because you know we're kind of at a crossroads here, because I think everyone wants the fast ferry to happen, you know, and I was the vice chairman of the fast ferry harbor links at that time, and we know there's a challenge with the two links that we have right now, and Victoria does a bigger business out of Victoria than those two links combined. And maybe if we went down to one link and we can control, you know, the passenger rates going forward, we know we're looking at a 4% increase coming forward. Well, that's also going to mean a 4% increase in freight. A lot of it's coming through by trucks and other means. Well, if maybe we go the other route, we could get secured ferry rates and get the Fast Cat ferry going. As long as the Fast Cat's, you know, competing with Departure Bay Run, that's going to be a pretty hard sell to get that going again. And if we could get something like going, we don't advocate these kind of things, but we throw it out to the chamber for discussion as to how we might move some of these projects forward. We don't advocate. That's up for somebody else to do the advocating for these kind of things. But a lot of these kind of things can and should improve our economy. We were once known as the hub city of the island, and we can be and should be that again.
Have you guys heard a lot of reaction from maybe family or friends, people in the community, that since this report's come out, you being your role at the Nanaimo Foundation, Ted, Tim with Vital Signs, are people talking about this report and potential value to the community? What are you hearing on that?
Well, we've heard many uses, many people using it, organizations using it, like I mentioned. We've heard a lot of people looking forward to year two. One thing that this does is start to build trends. So we can, you know, we have every intention of doing this for an indefinite period of time, and we can build trends and look back 5 years ago and 10 years ago and see how things have changed and how things have improved and where we need to direct our attention at that point now. So that's very exciting for the foundation. I know that that we can start building that information, building our own database of opinions as well as the statistics that we pull into it. So
we talked about this a little bit off-air, gentlemen, about the survey, and does it keep the continuity in terms of the questions, or do they change? Do you feel it's important to slip new ones in or draw them out? How does that going to be defined?
It's a year by year. The Community Foundations of Canada, sometimes we will focus on one singular topic with the other issue areas being there as well. This past year was just 10 issue areas and with no particular focus nationwide. Now the questions posed in surveys, they can ebb and flow with the community, just as the community ebbs and flows. So, yeah.
And lots of work is going on now behind the scenes, is getting ready for the next survey coming up this summer.
That's very exciting. Yeah, we're already in planning. We know the survey will come down somewhere around July. It'll be out for about 6, maybe 8 weeks during that time. And yeah, we're back at it. Very excited to go into year two. So.
It's interesting that, you know, Victoria with their Vital Signs, I guess in the last month I've noticed that they've given out over $360,000 to homelessness in Victoria. And that's always been a big thing with the Vancouver Foundation as well. One of the things that showed up from their survey was there was a disconnect in Vancouver from one region to another within inside the city of Vancouver. People were scared to come out of their apartments, so they started holding neighborhood parties to get people together and communicate from various areas of Vancouver. It could have been Yaletown, it could have been Kitsilano or wherever. But Vancouver started connecting people with inside the metropolitan Vancouver area. Youth homelessness was another big thing that showed up in the Vancouver Foundation. A lot of youth in Vancouver are homeless.
The fact that this is an online survey, we'll get to a break here in a second, but this opens it up to people that maybe normally wouldn't be engaged in civic issues to, hey, get on your computer and click and make your voice heard.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, we're looking at less than 10 minutes. You get to make your voice heard through a grade and through written word as well, if you wish. So that part's up to the individual. But
I think what also is important here, that it's helped us and the United Way to identify the real needs within the community from what the people have shown and spoken about. In the past, we've given out money, but it was basically on the basis of who would write the best grant letters, not on the particular needs of the community. Well, now we can focus on what the people think are the real issues within the community of Nanaimo, or District 68, if you will.
That's a key point, and we'll get into a little bit more of that after the break with Ted Carson and Tim Mawdsley talking about Vital Signs, a project of the Nanaimo Foundation. Much more on this on Head On here on Shaw TV right after this. Ian Holmes back on Head On here on Shaw TV with Tim Mawdsley, Chair of Vital Signs, and also Ted Carson, he's the Chair of the Nanaimo Foundation, talking about the recent Vital Signs survey. It came out last fall, and it's a great community template to help gauge some of the issues that are strengths in Nanaimo and also some weaknesses around 10 key areas, which can hopefully help strengthen Nanaimo moving forward. Ted, from a Nanaimo Foundation perspective, you have this information, accumulates over a number of years to get more of a strengthened template of some of the key issues in Nanaimo. Moving down the road, where do you think this can really benefit Nanaimo in terms of having a document that's strengthened with more data that's been accumulating over years, over time?
Well, because of Vital Signs, what we have now through the foundation, because we have a lot of people that are very interested in giving legacies or endowments to the Nanaimo Foundation, we have a book that we're putting together, and it's called Opportunities in Nanaimo, where it'll key maybe 8 key areas in this booklet that comes out to show the prospective donors as to where they can really help the community of Nanaimo, and I think that's a very important thing. Another issue that we have that's coming forward will be Aboriginal reconciliation, and we will be working with First Nations in Nanaimo, and we are now. And a lot of those results will show in this incoming new year through True Sports and other endeavors that we're proposing to work with the Aboriginal First Nations people.
In terms of legacies, endowments, is there maybe a disconnect where people don't necessarily know where to put their funds when they move on, Ted, and this could help in that regard? Are you seeing that this could be a step in the right direction in that regard?
It's totally a step in the right direction, because right now you have the baby boomers that are wondering what they're going to do. They've come through the best of times, myself included, and you could build up a fair legacy that you would like to go into some meaningful project. Over the last 10 years, the Victoria Foundation has probably had about $400 million donated to them. That some of that money has slipped through our fingers, that we can't move the clock back, but we can move forward to make sure that a lot of these monies that should be going to Nanaimo go to Nanaimo. And I think you're going to see some significant things over the next 5 years. The Vancouver Foundation right now is sitting on close to $1 billion. They've had gifts of $30 million left to them just by certain donors, to go to homelessness and to whatever else the Vancouver Foundation chooses to do. Just basically on the strength and the honesty and the integrity of the Vancouver Foundation. They never even met with some of these major donors. They just felt the Vancouver Foundation could handle their money best, because they would have maybe an administration fee of 1%. So all the money that's going to them goes out to where it's intended to go. We've been very fortunate ourselves in that we've had an office donated to us in downtown Nanaimo, plus all the furniture by Tom Harris, and plus all the computer equipment in there was also donated to us. We have an office that we don't pay anything for, and we run. We've been able to get business students out of VIU also to come and donate their time and put a lot of documents together for us. It's been a real community endeavor that we're bringing forward here, Nanaimo being Nanaimo. And there's a lot of loving and caring people in Nanaimo that care about this community and are willing to leave endowments and legacies here in Nanaimo if they know the money's been handled properly.
The United Way is one of your key partners, Tim, in this, and they provide outstanding work. About 30 social agencies they're funding this year on the Mid-Vancouver Island area. From your perspective, Tim, is this something that they're kind of leaning on this information from Vital Signs to help find out what are those really serious poverty needs that are in the Nanaimo area?
Absolutely. They have been, again, a fantastic partner, and I know that in their campaign, which I believe runs through the fall of each year, this was a major component to that. So they visit businesses and organizations in that campaign time, and I know that that team was out there with the Vital Signs report using that as information to provide to possible donors. So again, like Ted said, we have such an amazing community, and the foundation is proud to be a part of the philanthropic community here in Nanaimo, and I'm very proud that Vital Signs can be used in those type of ways for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much of a rallying point this study is moving ahead. I'm really excited for getting the cumulative studies 2, 3, 4 years down the road. Have you heard, Tim, how other communities, how this has really benefited them by doing this year after year to help get that database of information on strengths and weaknesses?
Well, one of our closer geographical counterparts would be the Victoria Foundation, who I believe is around their 10th year of doing this. It's a major focus in that community. The delivery of the report and the build-up and anticipation of that is a major focal point in that community. And they provided us some great help and guidance to get this going. And I know that, as Ted said earlier, that foundation has grown leaps and bounds in the past decade or so, and that's a bright future for the Nanaimo Foundation as well if we can follow that trend.
Ted, from your organization's perspective, moving ahead with the Vital Signs survey, is this something that will be one of your a key project of Nanaimo Foundation? This is your project moving ahead, and this is going to be something that will be tightly controlled by the Nanaimo Foundation? Yes,
along with Giving Tuesday and Legacy Week that's coming up probably in a couple of months. We're working with a whole bunch of other groups in Legacy Week that's going to be totally new to Nanaimo too, and we have strategic partners in the nonprofit that we're going to head up that and make that run well. We also, they also have youth Vital Signs in Victoria, where they engage the youth of Victoria to say what's right and what's wrong with Victoria. And they also get them out, and they also have them giving some monies that they collect to the Victoria Foundation, just to, not large amounts of money, but just to give the students an idea of what philanthropy is all about and get them to giving a little bit of what they can afford at a very young age, which is very important.
Before we wrap up here, Tim, you just maybe share for our audience where people can view the report and get a little bit more information on the Vital Signs document.
Sure. So it's downloadable from the NanaimoFoundation.com on our website. We're quickly running out of hard copies, but
how many copies did you have?
We had, I believe, close to 1,700, and I believe we might be looking at the last 3 on this table right now. So, but yeah, you can download the full PDF file from NanaimoFoundation.com, and yeah.
At NanaimoFoundation.com, that's where people can find out, obviously, about the foundation.
Yeah, it's great. We had a very old website from the previous. It was fine, but it was more of a granting thing. But all the information that we have, and it's changing on a daily basis. And thankful to Jocelyn Matwade for all that she's done. She does all our social networking for us. I don't have a clue what that's all about, but she sure does, and she does a wonderful job. And that can all go through on our website as well.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming on. This has been an enlightening half hour to learn a lot more about Vital Signs and the work you guys do, and this will be interesting to track in the months and years ahead with the new one coming up, the study later on this summer. Tim Mawdsley, he's the chair of Vital Signs under the Nanaimo Foundation, and the chair of the Nanaimo Foundation itself is Mr. Ted Carson.
I'd like to thank you very much for having me on.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming in the studio. Really appreciate your time. That was really informative stuff. That's another edition of Head On here on Shaw TV. I'm Ian Holmes. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition as we look into the issues that really matter here on Mid-Vancouver Island.